I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. So yeah, let's just watch this. As I say, this is a case I'm not that knowledgeable on. There's other cases that I talk about that I'm much more knowledgeable on, and this is not a case that I know a lot about. So I've been researching it, and I'm just going to first of all, I'm just going to play this video, which I think is very interesting, talking about it. Okay, let me just take that off. Hope I'm not being haunted by Annabelle now. I mean, the one thing I do know is so very sad because Peter Falconio, his family have never had his body, to be able to say goodbye to, lay to rest respectfully, etc. Where is he? Why has his body not been found? I think these things are very important, aren't they? But anyway, let's watch this video. That will give you more of a background if, like me, you're not that sort of sure about it.
Falconio's body still missing. And wait till you hear what the killer's family has to say. I'm Hugh Whitfeld. Welcome to The World. In this episode, it's 24 years since Peter Falconio was shot dead by Bradley John Murdoch in a remote part of Australia's Northern Territory. Falconio was 28 years old from Yorkshire in the UK. In 2001, he arrived in Australia with girlfriend Joanne Lees. They were just a few weeks into a round Australia road trip when they stopped.
Yeah, that's it, Joanne Lees. It's just anyway, when you hear the story of what happened, it does seem strange, but then you can't believe that she could be involved in this. But I remember at the time, one thing that I do remember, although, because when this happened, I wasn't really that into true crime as I am now, didn't take loads of notice of it. Things are on the news, aren't they? And you sort of vaguely remember them, but not all the details. But I remember feeling a little bit, oh, this is a strange story. And I think the general feeling at the time was that the girlfriend did know more about it than she appeared to. But I don't know that that's true. She's had to sort of live with those accusations ever since, really.
North of Barrow Creek, about 300 kilometres from Alice Springs in the remote centre of Australia. They'd been waved over by a driver who'd been following them. Falconio got out after being told there were sparks coming out of their orange combi van. He was shot in the...
Now, I just want to say something about that. This is something that happens quite a lot in my area. People driving past you and they beat you, point to your car tyre. Now, they don't shoot you in the head, hopefully, like this guy supposedly did to Peter, but they're trying to rob you. It's a common thing here. So, if somebody's make sure you don't stop. Somebody's driving past you. I mean, like maybe they do it in the UK or any other country as well, but particularly in this area of Spain, you hear about it a lot where they're trying to catch out people who are tourists. Because the thing is that tourists are always a target because they tend to carry money around with them in phones and cameras and iPads and, these kind of things. So that's what they do. They beat you, or flash their lights at you, point to your back tyre to try and get you to pull over because you think there's something wrong with your tyre or something wrong with your car. And then they're like in a team, so one of them will distract you looking at the tyre, talking, and the other one will be in your car seeing if you've left your handbag in there or any valuables. So that's a common... what supposedly happened here is a common trick, if you like, by people, not only murderers. I mean, why did he shoot Peter in the head immediately like that? But anyway, supposedly that's what he did. Literally, as soon as Peter got out the car, he was shot in the head.
After being told there were sparks coming out of their orange combi van, he was shot in the head. Lees was bound up and kidnapped, but she later escaped into the shrub and raised the alarm. Make no mistake, this happened in the middle of nowhere. Fear was quickly rampaging through isolated outback communities and backpackers, most of them from overseas, who travel to Australia for new experiences. The movie Wolf Creek, inspired by this real-life horror. At the time, Falconio's family hoped he'd be...
Oh, that's interesting. I thought Wolf Creek was inspired by Ivan Milat, but I'm probably wrong. He's another one that I'd like, one day I'll have to do. I don't think I've done a video about Ivan Milat. Another piece of scum, basically. But yes, Alana, I do that. I agree. I'm just warning other people there. I'm aware of these things. I would never stop for someone. In fact, it's happened to me, someone pointing at my town, I've just carried on driving. I would go to a police station and stop outside there before I would have a look. But I always call my angels, not only for things like that, like when I don't feel safe, but if I'm going into a place and I think, oh, this is going to be awkward, I don't know if it's going to work out properly or not. I always call my angels to look after me, but also to have a talk to the angels of the other person. Like, say I'm going in somewhere to take something back to a shop, and I think, oh, this might be difficult. Maybe I haven't got the receipt, or, I don't know. These are just examples I'm thinking of. So before I go in, I get my angels to go and talk to their angels. So put them in a good mood. Because, the thing about in Spain, everything's arbitrary. It's not like, oh, this is the rule and this is what happens. It's like, depends how they feel on the day. So you can. So, yeah, angels, very important to talk to your angels.
Found alive, but it soon became a huge manhunt for a killer thought to have been driving a Toyota Land Cruiser with a canopy. There were reenactments and a reward for information. Police eventually tracked down Bradley John Murdoch, linking him to the crime scene using DNA. An elastic hair tie belonging to Joanne Lees was found in his ute. The lead investigator was...
Well, the thing is, you can't really argue with DNA, can you? It's difficult to argue with DNA. And if he had an elastic hair tie belonging to Joanna in his car, how else could that get there if he was at the scene? So... unless he was at the scene.
Is Colleen Gwynn.
Look, Bradley Murdoch's name came up very early on in the investigation. He was always a person of interest. But unfortunately, with the sheer volume of information that came through, there was a number of persons of interest. But then through a elimination process, we realised that he was very much near the top of our list. He certainly fitted the description that Joanne had given. And then as we went through and understood Bradley Murdoch's movements, then we understood that he often went through the Alice Springs and through that route on his way to running drugs from South Australia into Western Australia. So it very much put him in the picture. There was a whole raft of evidence, including the ding and dirt and within the combi van that they were driving in. That was really critical in terms of getting a prima facie case and then adding all the other circumstantial evidence that put it beyond reasonable doubt.
In 2005, Bradley John Murdoch was sentenced to life in jail for the murder of Peter Falconio and Joanne Lee's attempted murder. This week, 24 years and 1 day since the murder, Murdoch died. He'd had cancer and had been moved from the Alice Springs jail to a palliative care unit. Peter Falconio's body has never been found.
Well, you would think, this guy, well, why couldn't he at least have said where Peter was? Well, maybe he doesn't believe in the afterlife, but he could have salvaged his soul a little bit, couldn't he, by at least being sorry, for what he did to Peter and revealing where his body was to help his family out. That would go a long way to stop him spinning in eternal damnation, surely. I just, and the other thing is, why did he do it? It does seem like, I suppose, robbery maybe was a motive, or maybe he was thinking of assaulting Peter's girlfriend, so maybe sex was partly the motive, maybe a combination of the two. Maybe he just saw an opportunity. It just shows you can't even feel safe when there's two of you travelling together. The thing is, these twonks, they'll always take advantage of situations, won't they?
Territory Police saying in a statement, it is deeply regrettable that Murdoch has died without, as far as we are aware, ever disclosing the location of Peter Falconio's remains. His silence has denied the Falconio family the closure they have so long deserved. We continue to appeal to anyone who may have information that could lead us to Peter Falconio's remains to come forward, no matter how small the detail may seem. A reward of 500,000 Australian dollars is available to anyone providing information that leads to the discovery.
I mean, that's a lot of money, isn't it? $500,000. Because even though this guy is deceased, maybe he told somebody, you know, or did he just, maybe he didn't want to say where Pete was because that's admitting to his family that he did it, because I believe his family believed that he didn't do it, you know, as often happens. So maybe the reason he didn't disclose, try and save his soul and disclose why Peter was because he doesn't want to disappoint his family. But it's a shame that he didn't.
Of Peter Falconio's remains. The case isn't really closed, according to police in the Territory. But here's South Australia's Police Commissioner Grant Stevens.
The opportunity to, you know, resolve that part of this horrific crime is now lost forever. I can't imagine what the family are going through, but I'm sure they were hopeful that, you know, prior to his passing, he would have disclosed the location of Peter Falconio's body, and I think that's an absolute tragedy. I think there's an element of evil there and malevolence that he just had no compassion and took this to the grave with him, not without any regard for the impact it would have on the Falconio family.
There are those who hold out hope there may be clues hidden somewhere. Here's Colleen Gwynn again.
I'm hoping that he's spoken to someone about the whereabouts of Peter, talked about what happened after he committed those crimes, and perhaps now that he has passed, that those persons may either be less intimidated to come forward and provide that information to police, or be enticed by that large reward to come forward.
Following Murdoch's conviction in 2005, Joanne Lees spoke outside court in Darwin. 7 News has been speaking with Peter Falconio's parents. They've told us in a statement, the awful thing is our family's future with Peter was cruelly taken away. Upon hearing that Murdoch had died, they said, our first feeling was of relief. It's like a weight has been lifted. Even now, we still hold out hope that his remains will be found. Today is no doubt tough for them. Then there's Bradley John Murdoch's family and his supporters. There are even those who, after all these years and all the evidence, forensic and circumstantial, believe Murdoch didn't do it. His family embarking on a very...
You know, I mean, this is this denial that we talk about a lot. If there's that DNA evidence and her ponytail thing, her, hair thing was found in his possession, then really that's pretty damning evidence, isn't it? I mean, I can see that you don't want to believe that your loved one has done something like that. And we've seen the power of denial, haven't we, in many cases that we talk about. It's pretty scary, actually, how much denial people can be in. But normally, once the forensic evidence confirms things, like in this case, why would he have her ponytail thing in his possession? Why? So that to me would just seem obvious he was there at the scene. DNA. You cannot argue with DNA.
Very public campaign of character rehabilitation. To many, they say Bradley Murdoch is known only for the events that led to his conviction in 2005 for the murder of British backpacker Peter Falconio, a crime for which he has always denied responsibility from his arrest until his death. But to those who truly knew him, he was much more than the headlines, they say. When given the opportunity, Brad was a devoted father, father-in-law, and proud poppy who never missed a chance to brag about his grandchildren. He was a beloved brother, uncle, and friend. Throughout his years in custody, Brad was well liked and respected by fellow inmates and correctional officers alike. He earned the affectionate title of uncle from many Indigenous prisoners, recognising his efforts to offer guidance, support and practical help whenever he could.
So, yeah, they're making him out to be some sort of, saint or whatever, such a lovely person, a good father. But, we know, again, from the crime stories that we cover, the people that commit the crimes, they're often nice people on the surface, aren't they? Let's just listen to that again, what they say about him being a dad and a granddad and a this, that and the other. Psychopaths, they often do have normal lives as well. They compartmentalise their lives so successfully. Now, the thing is, I don't know if Bradley had ever done anything before. Does seem strange that he would suddenly do this, but maybe he just took an opportunity. There it was. He was driving. He's seen these people driving. Maybe he knew they were tourists. Maybe he could see it was a hire vehicle that they were in. Maybe it was just like, oh, this opportunity is too good to miss. Or maybe he had done it before. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't his first rodeo, hey? We don't know really. But, so what they're giving him like a character reference, but that doesn't mean to say that he didn't do it, does it? Lots of nice people do terrible things. So, yeah, when given the opportunity, that's a bit of a caveat, isn't it? Brad was a devoted father-in-law, proud poppy, who never missed a chance to brag about his grandchildren. He was a beloved brother, uncle and friend. But the thing is, he didn't respect the man that he shot in the head. He was also a son, a devoted son, boyfriend, maybe brother, cousin, uncle, whatever. It's like these psychopaths, they don't think of other people's families as being as important as their family. It's like they can detach from that because it's not mine. It's not my son. They might have sons that they love and grandchildren that they love, but they don't give a shit about that son because it's not their son. This is how psychopaths are. And they can put on very good, a very good disguise to the outside world. We see it over and over again. And that's why people can never believe sometimes. The more normal that somebody seems, the less that people can believe that they could do anything terrible. Like Lucy Letby, because, she's just this young girl. She couldn't do that because she doesn't look like, she's just a normal girl. People are evil inside. Erin Patterson, she's a good mother. She wasn't a good mother. She had all this evil lurking inside her. And men, as men or women, it's the same for everybody. A psychopath is an absolute master at hiding in respectable society.
Brother, uncle and friend. Throughout his years in custody, Brad was well liked and respected by fellow inmates and correctional officers alike. He earned the affectionate title of uncle from many Indigenous prisoners, recognising his efforts to offer guidance, support and practical help whenever he could. They go on to say that he had hoped to be granted mercy, a form of clemency available under Australian law.
I found him completely different than what I expected. He was quite articulate. And this is a person who was pretty rough and ready, what I call a man's man. And he had beautiful handwriting. He hardly made a mistake in pages and pages of instructions. He gave evidence that...
He had beautiful handwriting. He couldn't possibly be a psychopath if he had beautiful handwriting. Honestly, some of these lawyers, you just think, no offence, but come on, look at him. He had beautiful handwriting. So, yeah, he must be innocent, mustn't he?
He wasn't guilty. And a couple of days later, the jury came back and said he was guilty. No, he's always maintained his innocence to me.
Crime author Robin Bowles befriended Bradley John Murdoch during his
Whatever.
time in prison, interviewing him multiple times over 3 years, spending around 50 hours with the murderer.
In regard to the question about will we ever know where the body is, Brad's always said that he doesn't know where the body is because he didn't kill Peter Falconio. And I think he's stood by that the whole time he's been in prison. I've spent a lot of time with Brad Murdoch, and he's told me a lot of things, bad things that he's done. He's not a good man. He wasn't a good man by most standards, but he wasn't a killer.
Oh, now she's saying he wasn't a good man, but his family are making him out to be a practical saint. I can't be doing with these do-gooders. She's like, she's been, oh yeah, did a lot of bad things, but he didn't kill Peter Falconio. Well, he obviously did.
I believe, and I believe him absolutely that he didn't kill Peter Falconio.
So who did
Now,
then?
just a reminder, Bradley John Murdoch was found guilty of murdering Peter Falconio. There was DNA evidence.
Exactly.
Murdoch's blood was found on Joanne Lee's shirt. His defence was that they may have brushed up against each other at a Red Rooster, a fast food restaurant, earlier that.
Oh, that's right. He said that he might have brushed up against her at a chicken restaurant. And then later at some point he said he was allergic to chicken or something. So of course that happens all the time, isn't it? You go to a chicken restaurant and you brush up against someone and you get blood all over you. That happens all the time.
That day. The prosecutor at the 9-week trial, Rex Wild QC, described him as not a crazed gunman, but cunning, alert, fastidious, meticulous. The murder, he said, was premeditated. As a 21-year-old, Murdoch had been given a suspended sentence after hitting and killing a motorcyclist in South Australia. He had previously been to jail for shooting at people at an Indigenous football match in Western Australia. In 2003...
Wow. So he'd already been accused of killing someone. He'd been shooting at people. He's not a nice person. His family making him out to be some sort of saint, for God's sake.
He was
And his lawyer saying, oh, he had beautiful handwriting.
acquitted of raping a 12-year-old girl.
Oh,
He was
acquitted of raping a 12-year-old girl. Oh, my God. Now, obviously, he was acquitted of that. But, when I did jury service, one of the cases I sat in on was somebody who was accused of molesting a child. And I think they were maybe about 11 or 12. And when they got up into the dock, they had to give evidence, the defence lawyer just wrapped them in knots, because you try asking a 12-year-old to remember exact details of what happened a year earlier. And this defence lawyer, it was horrible watching actually, because the guy probably was guilty, but the victim and his friends, they just sort of melted in the dock, really, because the defence lawyer was intelligent, clever, tricked them out, got them to say wrong days, wrong times, challenged everything they said. And in the end, this poor kid, a lad it was, he just didn't know, he did sort of cock up his story. Now, it may be that the guy was innocent, and the lad got his story wrong because it was wrong. Maybe it was not a true accusation. But it didn't come over like that. It came over that he literally, like any 12-year-old would, 11, 12-year-old would, or any if you ask me what July the 12th last year, even though you might have had this altercation with someone or this incident, you would remember the incident. But would you remember the exact times and things like that, what day it was? Don't know if you'd remember all that, and especially if you were young. So what I'm trying to say is, although he was acquitted, and we must just think of him as innocent of that because he was acquitted, doesn't necessarily mean, in my opinion, that he was innocent. Not in combination with all the other things that he did. you know, if that was just the only thing he was ever accused of. But, you know, he's a bad man. He's a bad man.
Drug user known to sip amphetamine-laced tea and smoke marijuana. Bradley Murdoch would have been eligible for parole in 2032, but under the Northern Territory's no body, no parole laws, he would have had to have revealed his secret about what he did with Peter Falconio's body to be considered for release. The question for detectives now, does anyone else hold Murdoch's secrets? Let's dive into 5 other big stories we're following right now. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson is back.
Yeah, sorry, no, we're not going to jump into the other stories. So what do you think? I mean, let me know what you think. You know, do you think that, you know, the guy is guilty and he was guilty, and for, you know, some unknown reason, probably because he doesn't want to admit his family, to his family, that he's lied all these years and said that he didn't kill Peter. He won't want to admit that to his family, so that's perhaps why he's not admitted it on his deathbed. But you know what? He'll be paying for it now. You know, he'll have gone to hell. I mean, you know, to just sort of stop someone like that and then just shoot them in the head, and, you know, and then not disclose where their remains are, torture their families for many, many years. You know, just put all that together with all the other things that he did. You know, he's definitely going downwards, not upwards, isn't he? So there you go. You think, Bluebell, you don't think anyone else knows he's dead and he's taking it to the grave? Oh, hi, Andy. Thank you. Thank you, Andy. That's very kind. Let me put my thank you on. Very sad, isn't it, for Peter's family? Very sad. Because, like, they said that they were relieved, didn't they? You know, it was like a weight being lifted in dying, but also it sort of takes away that possibility that they ever will find out where Peter is. Or will it make it more likely that maybe somebody else knows, who, now that Bradley is deceased, they'll come out? I mean, that's a massive reward. There's a big reward there. If anybody else does know, and it may be that nobody else does know. I mean, he's obviously hidden him somewhere out in the outback, I would say. And of course, it's so massive. I know there's been lots of searches, but so far they've been unsuccessful. But somebody might come forward. He might have said something to one of the prisoners. You know, just something might come out. Now he's no longer here. That's all we can hope, isn't it? That maybe somebody else then will come out and say, well, actually, this guy Bradley told me that he'd left the body here, there, or everywhere. Hope you're having a wonderful day as well, Andy. Hope you're having a wonderful day too. Yeah, I think there's a problem with the girl. You know, for some reason, as I say, I don't know all the ins and outs, but there was some, you know, I mean, it's a shame for her, because if she had nothing to do with it, why did people doubt her? Why did people doubt her? Now, it's important to say that Mr Murdoch, he had unsuccessfully appealed twice to overturn his convictions. So, you know, he did try and appeal, but he never got anywhere. So there's, you know, you can't really argue with DNA evidence, can you? So let's just have a look at Joanne. There was an interview. Well, there's been quite a few. She's done quite a few interviews. Yeah, his family say he was a gentle giant. You know, I mean, come on. Let's see what we've got here. Can I find an interview? Let's just have a little look at her. I think the body language experts, so-called, of course there are no body language experts really, they were a bit down on her, I think. Let's see. Just want to have a look at a little bit of her interview. See if I can find it on here. So there's lots of documentaries, of course, about it. Let's just see if I can. Yeah, the body language people were quite down on her. I want to see her being interviewed. Ah, right. Let's put. Where's the sound? Oh, that wasn't really much of an interview with her, but yeah, I'm sure there are interviews of her out there. Yeah.
Are you going to come up?
Oh, kangaroo! Look at that! The size of that! Oh my god!
You going to join me for a cup of coffee?
Kangaroo. I do like a kangaroo. Yes, well, Alana, I can't comment on colour combinations today. I've got that many colours on. Just all went wrong today, colour coordination wise. Normally, I do like to be colour